Welcome Strategy Battle Gamers to another GBHL YouTube channel video. You're here with your channel host, GBHL James, and it's this week's edition of Speak, Friend and Question. And I'm going to be doing this show on my own. Jamie and I were planning to do it on Friday, but there was the little issue of watching the Battle of Five Armies. And it was so good. So expect to see some movie reviews coming from us soon, and I know that as a GBHL team that we are going to be looking to do a Battle of Five Armies week, which GBHL Tom and Damien have already started filming some unboxings for. So it's Speak, Friend and Question. You've got a very happy James here because I've just watched Liverpool get smashed by Manchester United. I have just had the Biotic Fit Christmas social, and of course I've watched the Battle of Five Armies, which I was very happy with. So let's have a cheery good time with this. I hope that you've got all your painting all ready so that you can get caught up before Christmas, before you get a bunch of new models, which I hope that you've all got on your Christmas list supporting your Hobbit hobby. So the first question this week is from Charmed Balthazar. He's put, how do you decide how you want to base your armies? So far I've gone with a fairly generic dirt, rocks, graft and tough mix, since it feels appropriate on most boards. However, I'm looking to do my future Erebor themed army, armoured Thorin, hopefully a new Dane when he comes as leaders, with properly rocky themed bases, perhaps with slight snow effects, if I can figure it out. Do you usually just go for something generic, or do you try to give all of your armies bases which fit certain themes? And a related question, which of your armies have the most unique basing? Well, I'm pretty much so far been in the same camp as you. I remember when I first started the hobby, I didn't think that bases were that important. I didn't really look forward to doing it. And what did I use? There was just like it wasn't even a static grass. But if you look at some of the old Rohan battle reports, you'll see that my bases have just got this like kind of grass kind of thing, and the bases around it were black. And it was pretty poor really. And it was only when going to tournaments and seeing other people's armies and how much effort they put into the bases that it made me realise just how much better a good base can make a model. And since then I've gone into, I tend to base my armies pretty much the same, more because I'm quite happy with the effect that it has, and like you say, it works on most boards. And if you look back over our video backlog, you'll see that I actually do a tutorial on how I base my miniatures. And that is using like a gravelly kind of sand. I PVA that to the base. If I've not primed the model already, I will spray the whole thing black, then a dark brown, dry brush a lighter brown, put some grass in on there, give it a dry brush of Shabti bone, a couple of tufts, a brown rim, light brown rim. That's really how I do my bases. But as I get more ambitious with the painting of my armies, and as I see more and more armies be brought to tournaments that just have got phenomenal bases, especially ones that have kind of got like a city theme, it does make me want to do that. And maybe I'll do that with my Erebor, perhaps, or even experiment with my Mirkwood Rangers. I've got lots and lots of models that I need to do. But so far, like the latest Urukai that I did, my Brohan, it's all pretty much based the same as a lot of my heroes. But yeah, I would say definitely go for themed bases because it can make a massive difference. So good luck with that, and let us know how you get on. And in terms of the most unique basing, well, I guess the most unique basing in my armies are the models which have been provided and done for me by Shadow and Flame, because of course they are different to what I would normally do, and they tend to use a lot of like the army painter flowers, and they've got like waterfall effects on the Radagast, and just some really amazing stuff. So those are probably the most unique. So thanks very much for your question, Charmed Balthazar. Good to have you on Speak, Friend and Question again. Next up we've got David Alexander. Now David Alexander was our guest host last week. Hope you enjoyed having him there for a little bit of a different insight. And of course it's always good when these videos got more than one of us in. I am looking forward to being able to regularly do this with Jamie again when everything settles down. And he's put hashtag rabbit caught in the headlights. And Jay Finnegan, who's also been a guest host at Speak, Friend and Question, he's put, I've been there, my friend. Well, I actually thought you did a very good job, David, and I'm sure the subscribers enjoyed having someone different there for a different point of view. Because that's what this is all about, it's all point of view, isn't it? So the next question is from Ross Diggle. So this is another one of the new Stockport Hobbit gaming crew, which seems to be building up quite nicely. He's put, I thought Jamie had shaved his beard and dyed his hair for a moment. But you know what, that wouldn't actually surprise me. That if you look back over all of the old videos, or if you click on one of our videos and look at the suggested videos on the right hand side, it's really funny, because you get to see the ever-changing face of Jamie Giblin. You know, and his hair has been all out all over the place when it's been shorter, and different stages of his beard and different trimming. It's quite entertaining. Thanks very much anyway, Ross. And you've got a proper question here. You've put, Dark Sword Miniatures do a song of ice and fire miniatures. They're lovely. I have some. I'll bring them in to show you in the Northwest Gaming Centre one day. Well, I think I could probably do this, because Jamie hasn't got the internet at the moment, so I pretty much guarantee he won't be watching this video. But I do need you guys to work with me here and not spill the beans. When we went to Selwig with GBHL Damien and GBHL Tom, which is a big wargaming show, I actually picked up a Christmas present for GBHL Jamie Giblin, which he does not know about, and I'm only saying this on here because I know that he's not able to watch these videos, so do not tell him. But I actually bought him a Jon Snow from the Dark Sword Miniatures Song of Ice and Fire series, and I'm looking forward to giving that to him sometime this week. Hopefully we'll get that on camera, and maybe do a little bit of an unboxing, because it does look like nice miniatures. So thanks very much, Ross. Make sure you ask a question next week, buddy. Next up, we got the Goblin Scribe himself, Billy Fitzmaurice. He's put, that one goblin with the two-handed weapon killed Azog, the White Warg, and then wounded Gwahir. I can't remember if he killed Imrahil though. No, I think you're right. I'm not sure he did, but he did get the wound on the eagle. But either way, it was a brilliant game, and if it wasn't for Leaderless Rebel, then I would have won, and you know it. You probably would have done, actually. I was quite surprised that you did that, but yeah, it's a fantastic game. We'll have to try and sort of mimic and film a version of that, because it was just so much fun, and probably the kind of thing that you could do with like your Hobbit mates. If you're having a drink, you don't want a serious game, you'll just, you know, I don't know, roll the dice to see who gets what hero, and just play it how we did it with some drinks, because it was great fun. He's put, thanks once again for a fun weekend game, James. Absolute pleasure. I'm really glad you enjoyed it, Billy. He's put, the custom scenarios worked a lot better than expected. Well, I think everybody expected them to flop. But you know, a large part of the reason why they didn't, I think, is because I had been thinking about the concept of them for a very long time. Two, I had a lot of help with making sure that the wording was reasonably clear from a lot of people who are quite good at stuff like that, like GBHL Tom and Edward Ball, and you know, Charles Sims and Damien O'Byrne, Kieran Street. Lots of people all chipped in. I think the fact that none of them, apart from maybe the Mirrors one, went that far away from existing scenarios, but are just enough to bring a different layer to it. But yeah, I'm glad that, you know, apart from, I think there was a quick flurry of questions, which luckily, you know, they'd all been answered before the Mirrors ones. Luckily, nobody tried to break those scenarios at the tournament, which was good. And yeah, I think apart from that, you know, I think everybody was pretty surprised and thought that it was going to be a bit of a nightmare. But I'm glad that maybe it's opened the door for sort of mass new scenarios. Who knows? My question this week is, what kind of armies do you think you'll be taking next year? Do you think you stick to your Rohan / Wood Elves, or start to try new armies out? But also a massive congrats on making it to Speak Friend and Question 52. Thanks very much, buddy. In terms of armies for next year, I don't know if you guys are aware, but if you are on the Great British Hobbit League Facebook group, I did make a little bit of an announcement, which some of you that know me will be aware of, and that is that next year, unfortunately, I'm not going to be that involved in the Great British Hobbit League in terms of travelling around to other tournaments. And we have got some fantastic tournaments, some really great tournament organisers in some brilliant locations across the country, and I would recommend all of you to get out there and try them all. You know, well worth it, some really good ones. But with Jane and I's wedding next year, and the fact that, you know, I've been doing this nearly every 3 weeks this year, 3 weeks to a month. It's pretty much been a tournament. That's like a weekend away with the lads, you know. That's very regularly, and I think, you know, I don't think it's very fair to do that as much going forward. But not just that, we've got the wedding to pay for, we've got a lot going on. And that doesn't mean that I won't go to any of the tournaments. I'm sure I'll get tempted to try and get away for one or maybe two. And I'll certainly be involved in running tournaments back here in Stockport. So we'll see everybody. But I probably won't be taking, I probably won't be going. And if I do, I don't know, it just depends what I've got painted up. I will probably use my Sons of Ale now if I've got them all. Try and get all of those. In terms of Jamie, I don't think Jamie wants to compete next year. I think that's true of a lot of the kind of top tier players, you would say, like your Jamie Giblins, your Damien O'Byrnes. You want to take a lot of fluffy armies, which could lead the door open to other people. I think Ed will compete next year, but maybe we'll have, you know, a new top 10 next year. That'd be really exciting. So, you know, if you think you're up to it, guys, step up and give it a good bash. And I think Jamie's mentioned something like he wants to try his all-foot Rohan next year. So maybe you'll see that at a tournament. So thanks very much, Billy. Next up, we've got Joe White. Joe White's put, "Hi guys, played a battle the other day with 2 of the 3 trolls, some hunter orcs and a barrow white. However, my friend knew my list and tailored to have 60 goblins. It should have been a guaranteed loss until we rolled Lords of Battle. My question is, how often does the objective in a game mean that you win a battle you would have otherwise lost?" I think list tailoring in friendly games is, I don't know, I mean, it depends what you want to get out of playing SBG. But boo to him if he was list tailoring. But the scenarios are all important, and I think we've mentioned it a few times, but that is one of the key differences between like what I think is a good player and a great player at SBG, is someone who like really understands how to win the scenarios. Now, I'm not putting myself in the great player category here, but I've had a very good year. I've got a good record at the tournaments, which, you know, it's been a steep learning curve for myself. But one thing that I think has made the difference is truly understanding scenarios, and there's been plenty of games that I've been getting absolutely battered, and you know, it's come into the last turn of the game, and because I know where the VPs are, have been able to make it so that I win that game. So scenarios are all important, and I think when anybody's coming into this system, maybe they don't, you know, they see it as pitch battle. So, you know, what's going to beat each other in a pitch battle, an actual to the death rather than the scenario to the death. A lot of people think of the game like that, but there's a lot more to it. And I think, you know, when you start playing scenarios, whether custom or the ones that they give you, that makes a massive difference as to what will win. So yeah, I hope that helps, Joe. And yeah, it affects it all the time, all of the time. Okay, so, and that's a bit, sorry, just to carry on, that's also a big part of the luck of a tournament. So tournaments, whether random opponent or Swiss ranked, you know, to win a tournament you have to have luck of who you play and what you play and at what scenario you're playing them. So you might come up against someone that if you'd have come up against them in the previous scenario, you'd have taken them. But then you come up against them in the next one, and all of a sudden it's much more difficult. So it is very, very important in SBG. So thanks again for your question, Joe White. Next up we've got Alex Wright. He's put, "Hi guys, as a terrain builder, I'm always thinking of ways to design terrain so that it's transportable, light, durable, and 3D for the best Hobbit wargaming experience." Sounds like a sales pitch, that, buddy. Good stuff. You'll have to send some this way, because if we can showcase it on the channel, then more than happy to accept free stuff, as you guys know. He's put, "The common building materials that I use are styrofoam and balsa wood. However, how important do you think terrain is to the average wargamer? If you had to give a percentage between how important miniatures are and how important terrain is, what percentage would you give?" I'd say 50% terrain and 50% minis, because terrain recreates an environment, place, and miniatures recreate our favourite heroes and warriors. So they're equally important for battle scenarios. But some people don't realistically have the space in their homes, or their fiance wife doesn't want to look at battle terrain in their living room every day. LOL. But what do you guys think? Well, that's a very, very interesting question. I think the majority of people appreciate quality terrain. You know, it can make such a big difference to your gaming experience. But But then at the same time, you know, a lot of people probably learned the game, or you know, are learning the game currently using empty toilet roll holders as trees, and you know, just using books and stuff like that, you know, that to try and recreate a form of a battlefield. You know, I'm going to stack these books this way, or you know, I know when I used to play toy games as a kid, stack videotapes and stuff like that to create environments, because the imagination when you're younger is so great that can become what you want it to become. But it is very, very nice, especially as an adult wargamer, when you go to a tournament and you feel like you're in Middle Earth. And I think it's a big part of it for me. I'm not sure it's as much as 50-50. I think with most people, the miniatures are probably, you know, 90% plus. You know, you don't get that many wargamers. You get a few, but you don't get that many of the Hobbit players going, oh yeah, I've just got this piece of terrain, etc. There are some of us, especially those of us who run tournaments. It can be very important. So obviously we've got some bits from like Rick Fryer from Greenleaf Terrain. Barry O'Neill's made us some fantastic terrain, and I think in the battle reports it makes a huge difference. So if you watch the last battle report with me versus Jay Finnegan with the heroes, using that custom scenario, the terrain piece in the middle really makes that very cinematic, and you can immerse yourself in Middle Earth when you've got those bits of terrain. And you know, we've seen that when we've used bits of ours. I know that when I went to Stirling, I was very impressed with the terrain. The terrain at East Grinstead Wargamers is always very, very good. You know, some of the terrain at Titans was pretty good. And I know that they're always improving it all the time. And it's one of the key things that people have said when they've come to our tournaments, is that they really like the terrain. And that the fact that Middle Earth has been, like, you know, an attempt to recreate it. So I think it is an important thing, which is appreciated. From a purchasing point of view, I don't think it is a massive priority for most people, because yes, you know, it's about space. Space is key. Miniatures can be stored much easier than terrain. But thanks for Alex. So next up we have got HD Miniatures. This is Harry from Australia. Good day, mates. He's put, hey guys, been way too long since my last post. We down under are getting ready to enjoy a nice hot Christmas in Australia. How's the weather in the UK? It's cold. It's cold. It was quite funny at the Stockport tournament at the weekend. I've never seen hailstones that big. I'm sure there's a lot of our international subscribers who have seen golf ball size, you know, hailstones. I've never seen we were getting marble sized hailstones, and I thought that was amazing. It's been very cold, frosty, having to get up a little bit earlier to de-ice the van before going to work. So yeah, nice one for rubbing that in there, Harry. And he's put, here is my question for the week. He's put, how many armies do you each have and how do you store them? And he's also put, also, what happened to the scouring of YouTube? Cheers and happy strategy battle gaming from Harry. Okay, so how many armies do we each have? Well, Jamie's got all sorts. I think he's picked up quite a bit of shy stuff. He's obviously got his Wood Elves and his Woses. He's got Dwarves, he's got Goblins and Angmar. I think he's got some Galadrim as well. What else has he got? He's got like a few Fell Beasts. Some heroes. Yeah, he just got a good collection of stuff. Myself, I've got obviously my Rohan, a Grey Company. I've got a Haradrim army, which I've not painted up. I've got an Angmar army, which is currently with Generation Shift to paint up. I've got things like Thorin's Company, which is with Shadow and Flame. I've got Wanderers in the Wild. Lots of Eagles and Ents and Radagast and Wizards and Fellowship models. I've got loads of Fellowship models. I've got the High Elves. I've got some of the new Erebor Dwarves. So gosh, yeah, quite a lot. I think we've probably got about 10 plus armies each, supporting our Hobbit hobby. In terms of how we store them, I've got one case. Jamie's got a few cases. I've got one case. Oh, I've also got my Isengard army now as well. No, forgot about that one. Yeah, I've got my case, and then downstairs in the cellar I've got a glass shelf unit, which is from IKEA, which I put most of the stuff on. Just get a little bit damp in the cellar, which is a touch worrying. But yeah, I tend to keep everything down there most of the time. A lot of it's living on my bookshelf at the moment because there's a lot of miniatures that I want to paint. And I think that by putting them on there, it'll make me go, right, yeah, I'm going to do these now, but I've not quite got around to them yet. In terms of the scouring of YouTube, when we do it, it hasn't been like hugely popular. But if anybody would like to suggest a scouring of YouTube for next week, if there is enough support for it and enough of you say, yes, I will do the scouring this week, then we'll do one. Okay, I will, maybe a little Christmas present to that YouTube channel that we scour. Okay, so thanks very much, Harry. I hope the wedding plans are going well, buddy. Next up, we've got Mathers290. He's put, hey there, long time watcher, first time question. Oh, welcome to Speak Friend and Question. And at this point, I would usually say to Jamie, what does he have to do, Jamie? And Jamie would say, since you asked a question this week and we answered it, you are now in the loop. You must ask a question next week. And so the circle continues. So make sure you do, buddy. Great to have you here. First time question, ask a person. Back in the day, when the first Lord of the Rings movie was released, I purchased 3 packets of High Elf spears and never looked back. Although for a while I stopped with the hobby entirely, I kept my forces and I'm now busy painting them in an autumn theme for fluff reasons, changing gold to silver and such. Yeah, that's become very popular. I've done it with my elves. My elves, I've got like a dark red going on with silver. And I think that's because of the Hobbit movies, and of course, you know, the greens and golds are supposed to replicate the elves in their springtime of their existence, whereas, as you rightly just say, the newer elf colours are more autumnal because they're coming towards the end of their time in Middle-earth. But my question is, what is there to do to keep a High Elf Noldor army competitive? I'm a huge fan of the elves in the Silmarillion, and I think that the Noldor exiles are poorly represented, though are skillful yet weak. These guys fought armies of Balrogs, yet average defense 5 and only strength 3. My biggest problem is in small battles, 500-point battles. My heroes are so expensive that I find I don't have enough troops. I cannot take captains or banners as they are extremely expensive, although I feel the banner is crucial in games where someone has a shaman with fury and such rules like it. Is there anything from your experience in fighting with or against High Elves that would be a good idea? I've recently assembled a lot of Rivendell Knights and Elrond to lead them, and I'm hoping I can ally them in with a Rivendell, Lindon, Eregion army. However, the problem remains expensive luxuries, banners, captains, heroes, etc. Okay, well, welcome to Speak Friend and Question. Nice big question there. In terms of, you know, seeing how elves are represented, because it's a skirmish game, I mean, you say they're poorly represented, but if you were to make them more powerful, they would be more expensive, and then your problems would be greater in terms of the problems that you highlight there. And I think you've got to see it as a sort of quite abstract, you know, slightly abstract. So, and just, you know, kind of take it almost for what it is. In terms of, I mean, High Elves can be very, you know, can be quite competitive. What have I seen? Well, yeah, your strength is you can get some very good heroes, but yes, at mid to low points cost, you know, that's going to make your numbers suffer ever so slightly. Although there are a couple of good sort of mid-level. I mean, a lot of people try and get Erestor in there, and the twins, although you're paying quite a bit, are quite value for money in terms of getting might at lower points games, and getting sort of your attacks and everything for heroes. A lot of people do all hero High Elves to represent, you know, that kick bundom, as it were. You know, in small armies, what I find, you know, things like shielding can be quite important for elves. You know, try and gang up on one part, and then wherever you can, kind of shield, so you're doubling up your dice with your individual models. So that could be quite a good way of doing it. Rivendell Knights are very, very good. I mean, they are expensive, but something that's good about Rivendell Knights is that they're multi-role. So at a lower points cost, they are doing it. You know, they're 22 points with a shield, but they're doing the job of you know, all 3 parts almost of what you need. Well, what an all-rounded army are. You know, they're doing the shooting. A Rivendell Knight Captain is a very good hero as well. You know, Elrond is very expensive. But if you had a Rivendell Knight Captain at those lower points cost, and then maybe allied the Rivendell Knight Captain in, some Rivendell Knights, and then maybe, you know, a contingent of high elves on foot, so you've got your bows, you've got your shields and your elven blades, and you've got your spears in there, with maybe like the twins or the like, that wouldn't be too bad an army. So I hope that helps a little bit, buddy. Let us know how you get on, and hopefully we'll give you some more advice. We've got a few battle reports as well with elves in them. You're always going to have lower points because they are more expensive. Okay, so next up we've got, wow. Now I can't say this too loud because obviously Jane is upstairs. She's having a bit of a kip, so which won't keep my voice down ever so slightly. But it is GBHL Master. Now I want you guys to make up for the fact that I couldn't shout that out nice and loud. He's back. We've missed you, buddy. I'm sure you can tell that because we mentioned you a few times. I'm a bit worried that you might have died or something. But hey, I am not dead, and in fact I am back. Well, that is great news, GBHL Master. And any of you subscribers who used to ask questions in Speak Friend and Question who have not been here recently, let us know because we just worry about you. We care. He's put, sorry for my absence, guys, but I was working my ass off for a while and I must have stepped away from the hobby. He's put, so to my question, what do you guys think about the new releases? I read rumours on some rumours page that he's put on here that they plan like 2 systems for a Battle of 5 armies, one skirmish and one like War of the Ring. When I look at miniatures, I think it could be like it because some models like Thranduil on Horse and Elves and Spears look like they were designed in an early development process. I think we'll see more plastic boxes in the future, like Elves, Orcs, etc., because the Hobbit license expires in 2016. So they will use it to their fullness. Now we will probably only see what the Perry brothers made before they left GW. As always, cheers from Poland. Well, thank you very much, GBHL Master. Great to have you back, and I hope everybody gave out a good GBHL Master, because it's very important. Okay, so what do we think about new releases? I think it's great. We've got a lot of them, and I hope people aren't complaining out there. We've got a lot of new releases, and I hope you're all buying them. I'll certainly be buying a few of them. I wasn't too sure at first, but I'm a sucker. I think I will be getting quite a few. I really like them. I really, I love Smaug. I love Smaug. I really like the new Legolas profile, not necessarily the model. I really like the Thorin model, and after watching the Battle of 5 Armies, I've got to get him. I've got to get him. It's just cool. In terms of the troops thing, I think the Bolg looks great as well. Bolg is really good, and the fact that he can now take a warg, that's a big deal. It's a big deal. With his special rule, Bolg on a warg is a big deal, because the problem before is that it probably wasn't going to kill enough to get those, but you can easily see a Bolg on a warg being able to kill and get up to that point where he's got Mighty Hero effectively, which is huge. That's brilliant. What else do I really like? There's some really fluffy things in there which they've done really well with, I think. Some really fluffy stuff in terms of the rules and the synergies behind them. So yeah, I really do like the releases. In terms of 2 systems, I'm not convinced that there will be. I'm sorry. I mean, I think it'd be great if there were, but the fact that because of sales, and it makes perfect sense to go to resin and fine cast because it's, you know, cheaper molds, easier to produce them as and when, they last for longer and all that kind of thing. I can't see them bringing out a mass battle system when it's £15+ for 3 troops in a blister with the new releases. I can't see them doing it personally. Although I think it'd be lovely. It'd be lovely if they did. I will keep my fingers crossed for more plastic sets. I mean, none of the new evil, because there's got to be some new evil troops, and there's no evil troops in the new supplement. So I think we'll be getting another supplement because there's no dwarves either, and maybe some of the dwarves and some of the evil. Because there was lots of evil stuff, maybe some new Gundabad orcs of some kind, some armoured goblins, I've seen a few of those, some of the monsters, but you just don't know at what point Games Workshop got hold of the, you know, designs, etc., and whether it will happen. We can just keep our fingers crossed. And remember, if you support your Hobbit hobby and you buy the miniatures, that will encourage Games Workshop, which is a business, to support it as well. Now, you said about the Hobbit license expiring in 2016. I've heard lots and lots of dates bandied around for when the Hobbit license expires, and I don't think anybody really knows. So it's just speculation. I really like new releases, and I think that they'll bring something different to the game. There's some powerful stuff in there. I mean, oh sorry, I can't believe I've not even mentioned the White Council. I mean, Galadriel is a beast, and if you watch the movie, oh my eyes. That's all I'm going to say. No spoilers here. This isn't the Palantir, right? You know, Saruman. Oh, what? Just awesome stuff, basically, guys. So get on it, support it. So thank you very much, Chocho Master. Really good to have you back. We have missed you. Next up, we've got the wonderful Tandoori Barrier O'Neill. So if you really liked the centerpiece terrain in the most recent battle report, which was the 3 members of the Fellowship versus the High Elf heroes and Alfred, then the terrain piece was from Barry. Barry brought that to the tournament for me and Jamie to use for some of our scenarios going forward, so absolutely awesome. He's put, hey guys, I just want to say thanks for organising such a great tournament, James. Thank you very much, I'm glad that you think so. It was a lot of pressure. I think, to be fair, you know, you put yourself up on, you put yourself out there. You know, I'm sure there were people that expected me to fall, or maybe shoot me down, but we did it. We did it, and thank you everybody who came to it and made it what it was, because it's one of my best weekends in the hobby. Just being able to do that for everybody, it was very cool, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. But so happy to have had yet another fantastic weekend with such a wonderful bunch of people. And yet, if you're watching these videos and you've not been to a Great British Hobbit League event yet, you've got to go. We have got the most amazing community of friends of all different ages. Do not be worried. Do not think that it's power gamery. It really isn't. You might come across 1 or 2, but they are the exception rather than the norm. And Jamie, I hope my little gift turned out as good as you expected if you've seen it. Thanks again for all you do for us. Jamie won't have seen it because he's not got the internet, and we've not had a chance to meet up. We are going to meet up this week, and we're hoping to get some content for this Battle of 5 Armies week. So yeah, make sure you ask lots of questions next week, guys. Lots of questions next week. And then Barry's put, thanks again for all you do for us. Well, thank you for being awesome and for supporting the Great British Hobbit League by travelling over every time. So next up we've got Lego Freshie 25. He's got a suggestion here, but it would be great to see daily vlogs. Well, we're trying weekly vlogs and the hobby vlogs, but what you will have noticed is that we don't always get hobby time in every week. I certainly haven't for a little while, and that's why there's not been any Monday hobby vlog, and it's the same for the other guys. So I'm not sure daily vlogs would work, but we do get out daily content most of the time, and that's been a big sort of policy for us since we started. So you always had something to watch, even if it's just a little video. It keeps you all interacting with the hobby and the community. So thanks very much, Lego Freshie. I can't remember you asking a question before, so make sure you ask a question next week. Next up we've got Camille Demansky. He's put, hi guys, I would like to thank you for a great weekend I had. It was great to see you again and play a few games with fantastic people. Brilliant. I'm really glad you enjoyed it, Camille, and you know, it was great having you as an ally in that fantastic game that we had on Saturday night. And it was a shame that we had to come to blows in the end, and I won. That's what happens. He's put, we have to do a heroes deathmatch every tournament. It was epic. Yeah, I agree. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. He put, James, I wish you good luck and I hope I'll see you again in April. Yes, you will. He's put, question for today is, can you compel twice the same model in one turn? Take care and you'll never walk alone. Does it not say in compel that you can move no further for the rest of that turn? If it does, then I don't think you can. But I don't know. It depends on the wording of compel. I thought compel said that you may move a model up to half of its move distance, and it may not do anything else for the rest of the turn, something along those lines. I've not got the rule books handy, but I'm pretty sure that someone will comment below and give you the correct answer for that. They put, take care and you'll never walk alone. Well, you will, because today, Camille, you got beaten by Manchester United 3-0. Liverpool look shocking. No, I say that. You look like you were creating more chances than you have been doing over the last few, and thank goodness for David De Gea, because I mean I can't remember a time when a team has won 3-0 and the goalkeeper of the winning team gets the man of the match. He was awesome. Next up we've got Larry Miller. He's also put great tournament, James, and really good to hear that you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much. He's put, it's a shame Jamie couldn't make it. Yes, it is a shame. I was really gutted for him. Banter aside, I was really gutted for him because he's attended all of these tournaments all year. Just at the end, he's been in 3rd place for, you know, half of the year. He was top for a while. Attended all these tournaments, then right at the very end Callum Edams comes in, fair play to him, and just bumps Jamie out, and then Jamie doesn't even get the opportunity to try and get that back, or the opportunity that, you know, to enjoy a tournament that I put on. You know, that, you know, I was also gutted that he couldn't enjoy the tournament that I put on, because obviously, you know, we're really good mates now, so that was a big shame. He's put, I hope you consider reusing some or all of those scenarios. They were all pretty fun. I'm glad that you think so. And I think that we will. I'm going to do a republish of, I mean, because a lot of those scenarios were written for how they would work together as a rules pack, so how they affected things over the course. But there are some things I would change if they were just going to be standalone scenarios. So I'm thinking about putting those out. So hopefully you'll see some of those soon. Just a couple of little changes. So a lot of people really like the Scouts in the Dark scenario, and I might just change that to, you know, to Scouts or whatever, and just remove the Pool of Darkness part of it, and just keep the Elven Cloaks on the Scouts as a variation to Reconnoiter. I think it works quite well. Having to sort of select 5 models to get off the board. I think the Mirrors one, it's very interesting. A lot of the more experienced players weren't happy about how far the Mirrors could bolt, because it could bolt 2d6. So there was that whole idea that, you know, you could be moving it, and then suddenly it'd bolt. And it does have that random factor. And does that have a place in a tournament? Maybe in some of the early games it does. Certainly not as the last scenario. But then again, a lot of people, I would say a lot of the kind of newer players, you know, not necessarily up towards top table all the time, said that was their favourite one. I think Challenger Champions was pretty cool. The Last to the Death one just doesn't need the kind of everything coming back on thing. But apart from that, seemed okay. The Skirmish scenario was okay. Again, really, what it does is it makes you think about the composition of your army before you go into the tournament. You know, well, hang on a minute, what's going to be my skirmishing deployed warband? Leadless Rabble apparently worked quite well. It doesn't need the Cause Terror for the preceding turn. I think a lot of people just forgot that anyway. So yeah, I think a lot of them work quite well, which I'm pleased about. I'll certainly be using them again, doing some battle reports with them. He's put, this week's question is for Jamie. Well, he's not here, but the fact that you said, does Discovery Centre have any Minecraft Lego? I think that you're winding him up, because he put a status saying, no, we do not have any Minecraft Lego. But thanks very much for that, Larry, and it was great to see you at the weekend. So next up we've got Dave Egan. This guy's joined the Royal Marines. I hope your training's going well, buddy. He's put, in a zombie apocalypse, what would be your weapons of choice? I'd take an AK-47, an SIG sour pistol, a katana, a chopping axe, and a knife. Okay, what would I take? Okay, so with an AK-47, it's pretty reliable. It can get battered about, you can bury it in the sand for years and years, it's not going to have a problem. It's not particularly accurate, but it does fire quite a big round compared to sort of like what we use in NATO, which is a 5.56 size round. It's tiny. I mean, it's not a very nice way to die when you get hit by this tiny round, because it bounces around inside your body. If it hits a bone or something, you know, you can have an entry wound in your shoulder and it can come out of your bum. But against a zombie, that's not really what you want. You want to be able to shoot it in the head and the head come off. So for that, you're going to need a bigger round. You're going to need more like a 7.62 round. But of course, if you're taking 7.62, you're carrying a lot of extra weight. So I'm pretty sure there'll be something that, you know, high velocity rifle out there somewhere that you need it to be. You need it to be light, but the issue is ammunition. You know, ideally you want a weapon that hasn't been invented yet, that can't run out of ammunition. And therefore it is a good idea to have something which is more kind of close combat. So, you know, a katana's not a bad idea. You know, having a sword is a pretty good call, actually. You know, having some close combat stuff. But really, you don't want to be that close, do you? You don't really want to be that close. So yeah, those are the kind of things to think about. What would you guys take in the zombie apocalypse? Next up we got Who Else But How Dear. He's put, hopefully by the time you guys read this, you'll have read the new profiles. What do you guys think about them? I think they're awesome. I think that they are awesome. I think that Galadriel and Saruman are, of the White Council, are now two of the best wizards in the game by far. I mean, Saruman getting to re-roll his casting dice, having resistance to magic, and getting to re-roll. I mean, it just means he can be very liberal with his spells. He can be really aggressive. You know, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. You know, and as part of the White Council, the White Council get plus 1 dice today or something like that. I mean, it's just it's absolutely huge. Galadriel is amazing. I mean, the fact that she's got automatic cast blinding light. She's effectively got a staff she can cast for free, and she's got 2 spells which could change the meta of you know, the tournament slightly. I say change the meta. There's not many people that really bring, but you know, you're talking, it's very anti-Fell Beast. You know, absolutely huge. The fact that I mean, Radagast mounted on an eagle, man. I mean, I've not even mentioned that. That is awesome. So all of a sudden you've got monstrous cavalry for good, which is brilliant. I know he loses his staff in that profile. But you know, you look at the stats that an eagle has, you know, compared to a felt, it's just that much better. He's just that much better. Very, very good. Very, very good. And the fact that you can heal it all the time from up there is just perfect. So yeah, I really like that one. Elrond's new one is very interesting, with the free heroic strike every turn. It's a bit of a mixture between the 2 profiles. The only thing is then is, you know, you can't take him on a horse. You know, which is a big consideration with hero, like how to win scenarios and how to win games. Heroes mounted on horses is more important than you'd imagine. It's massively exponential. You know, a hero's horse should probably cost a lot more than 10 points or whatever they tend to cost. What else do I really like? You know, Bilbo's got a nice little profile in there. Smaug is pretty ridiculous. You know, I'm loving this whole. It's very interesting watching from the back, kind of looking in at people going, oh, but he should be banned from tournaments. It's like, it's 700 points. I mean, you're not going to see him at many tournaments. It's a 700 points, 300 quid model. You're not going to see it often, and when you do, there are ways to take it down. And against the better players are going to play for the scenario. And Smaug isn't going to be great at all of those scenarios. So, but I love the model. I love the profile. All the dwarves are quite interesting. I mean, God, I mean, Dwalin being able to choose between having his two-handed, and Burley of course, with 3 attacks, or he can choose to use his 2 axes and have 4 attacks. I mean, surely, piercing strike with the 2, 4 attacks. 4 attacks! And the same with, I mean, the new, I'll tell you what you're going to see a lot of. You're going to see a lot of the new Thranduil in all hero armies. I mean, yeah, he's defense 6, but 4 attacks on foot. Yeah, he's got his +1 when he's riding a horse, but I mean, fight 7. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And the new Legolas as well. It's huge. I'm very interested that they kept his shooting rule, which I'm glad that they did. But you know, having fight 7 and having an extra attack, it's huge. It's Thranduil. He's not just got extra fight. He's got an extra attack. He's got 3s in all the right places. You know, as you say, it's just very, very strong. The troops, not as impressed with, but you gotta love the models. The models are lovely, and like I said before about Bolg and Azog, and it's just very cool. I think we've been spoilt with the releases. I think, you know, we should really get behind it and really buy loads of these models. So thanks very much. Who else but Haldir? So next up we've got Jamie Finnegan. He's put, I'd like to start with a congratulations to James for an awesome finale weekend and my favourite tournament to date. Oh, well, thank you very, very much, Jay, and, you know, well done you did so well. You're very, very unlucky to play on the top table in the last game, because then you've got that horrible thing, if you lose on the top table on the last game, you tend to come lower than 4th, which is cruel really, especially when you're up there for 5 out of the 7 games. Just amazing. So well done, and I'm sure that you'll continue that form into next year. But also, how awesome was Battle of 5 Armies? I love the fact that you wrote this before we watched Battle of 5 Armies together on Friday. Pleasure to share the experience with you guys. Yeah, it was a really, really good Friday. Me, Jamie, I mean, I swapped my shifts. I was supposed to be working the afternoon shift, but I swapped with my instructor. I said, listen, these guys, they bought me a ticket for Battle of 5 Armies. He understood. So I was up at R5. I worked from 6:30 until finished at 11. My instructor relieved me from the gym at 11:20, and I had to be at the cinema for 12:15, and I had to get the training because we were having a drink. And I managed to, I mean, I ran. I was like Usain Bolt from the station to the cinema, I'm telling you. They were very surprised I got there in time. And we had the most, I mean, I'm going to save everything for the movie review, but I think you can tell I enjoyed that movie. I thought it was awesome. It was really good and great company. And then we proceeded to go out and get very, very drunk and celebrate. And then Jamie started buying rum goldfish concoctions, which was just horrendous. So cheers for that. So my question this week is, what are your hobby resolutions, hobby targets for 2015, Jay? Well, mine are to run a couple of even better tournaments at Stockport. In terms of the channel, I want to improve the channel and continue to make what we provide more regular and better all the time, better terrain, better models. I mean, I would love to finish off at least a couple of my armies. I really want my Rohan, I want to repaint some of my, I want that to be gorgeous, and maybe some of my, finish off that Isengard as well, go over the Elves. Oh, I've got so much to do. But yeah, that'd be good, just so we've got more options in the battle report. Just having some really gorgeously painted armies would be really good. So thanks very much for that, Jay. I look forward to seeing you sometime this week. Next up we've got David Reed. He's put a bus, cheeky bugger Perkins. I think he's referring to the fact that that George in the last Speak Friend and Questions made a joke that he had squatted a bus because he'd squatted David Reed at the weekend. But I'll remember that. Anyway, since I'm commenting, here's a question. I think we discussed this briefly in Sterling, but are there any models that you've never seen at a tournament, and if there are, is there any of them you fancy trying out? Congrats on the year's worth of Speak Friend and Question, and here's so many more. Well, thank you very much, David Reed, and thank you very much for coming to Stockport as well. I hope you had a good time. Okay, so let's get thinking. Models not seen at a tournament. Models I've not seen at a tournament. That's really hard. Now what I'm doing is in my mind I'm going through all of the different source books. All of the different source books. And all of the different lists in the source books. And very rarely, have I seen Kellerborn? I think I have. I've seen, yeah, I think Jamie take him once. I've seen like Galadriel in Eristor, quite a lot of Círdan. I've even seen Círdan for his cheap cast blinding light. I've even seen Frodo of the Nine Fingers. I've seen all of those random Hobbit heroes like Lobelia and Fatty Bolger and Farmer Maggot and stuff. I've seen all of those. I've seen all the Arnor heroes like Arvedui and everything. What haven't I seen? Gosh. Have I seen a Balrog at a tournament? I don't think I've seen a Balrog at a tournament. Have I? I don't know. I think I have. This is really hard. I've seen dragons, I've seen cave drakes, I've seen Watcher in the Water, I've seen every single type of goblin, I've seen everything from Angmar. I honestly can't think of anything I've not seen. That'd be a really interesting one to put to Jamie, actually. What has Jamie not seen? Nope. Can't think of anything. Sorry about that, David. Okay, so next up we've got Leonardis East Grinstead Wargamers. He put, perhaps you should get someone else to do battle reports for you. We have tons of figures and cool scenery at Mid Sussex Wargamers. I'm sure between us we could do some reports for you. Sam already has a YouTube account and we have several video cameras. Worth a thought? We'll very much appreciate the offer. I think we'll keep the filming for the GBHL podcast in-house. Not saying that you wouldn't be able to do the battle reports, I'm sure you would. But you guys have got a channel. And if you were to do battle reports, I'm pretty sure that we could share your content and direct people to Mid Sussex Wargamers YouTube channel. But yeah, we were only struggling to get battle reports over this last little bit. We will get back into it, especially because there's 4 of us. We should be able to get back into a situation where we've got at least 2 a week. I'm sure that won't be too far off. But thank you very much for the offer, and hopefully see you at a tournament next year, because we've not seen you for a long time. Next up, we've got Faith in Heresy. He's put, I expect there'll be a lot of questions concerning The Hobbit, The Battle of Five Armies. There hasn't, actually. He's put, so I shall ask about the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Out of all 3 films, if you could prevent one character from dying, who would it be? Mine would be Haldir. Despite not seeing him again in the movies, his death is the most tragic in part 2 of The Two Towers for me. Boromir. I think it's easy. Boromir. Got to be. I can't, I'm trying to think now, like even from, you know, I mean, Gil-galad dies, I suppose, and Gil-galad could be handy later on, but considering that they don't send Glorfindel with the ring as part of the Fellowship because he'd attract too much notice, I think Gil-galad would be the same. I mean, in the books, lots of people die, like Halbrand and everybody. You know, you don't really want Halbrand to die. In the movies, in the Fellowship, who else dies? No, Boromir. It's easy for me. In the movies, Boromir does not die. That's what I would change. Thanks very much for that, Faith in Heresy. Next up, we've got Chris Murfitt from Scotland. He's put, about time you got someone I can understand. He, of course, is referring to the fact that Dave Alexander is Scottish. But James needs to learn to speak Scottish. My question is, can you speak another language? And if not, would you like to learn? I can't fluently speak any other language. I wasn't very good at languages in school. Well, I say that, it's because when I went to school down south, you could choose between French and Spanish in the school that I went to, and I chose Spanish. However, when I moved up north, to do Spanish you had to do it as an option at GCSE, but you had to take French compulsory. So I dropped Spanish and tried to pick up my French. Now from Spanish I can't remember too much. I can hold whole basic conversations. But what I do remember is we used to listen to, I don't know if any of you guys learned Spanish, but I think it was called Arriba, and it was like a tape that you listened to, and it was dead funny. So what was it? Hola, ¿qué tal? Escucha la cinta. Actividad 25. Escribe tu nombre. Which I think is like, you know, activity 25, write your name. You know, I don't know all the kind of me llamo James, como te llamas, and all that kind of stuff, and mi cumpleaños and all that kind of stuff I kind of know. And the numbers, the counting, again in that Ariba on the tapes, there was like a music thing, like a little song to help you remember, and it obviously worked because I could remember it. And it was like 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10. There you go. Round of applause for me, I think. Other languages. When I was little, we lived in Germany for a little while. And that was because my little sister's dad, I think he worked in construction, and there was a lot of building work over in Germany. If any of you have seen the Auf Wiedersehen Pet series, then that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And I would have only been about 6 or 7, so very young. But when you're at a young age, you pick up language like a sponge. And although I can't speak German, you know, I can do all the whole kind of, you know, Auf Wiedersehen and Danke, Bitte and all that kind of stuff. And again, I can probably count in it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Going on and on and on. And then interestingly with French, I mean, they put me in top set for French when I moved up north. And that was to kind of accelerate me, but it was a bit cruel really, because especially when the teacher knew that I couldn't speak French, and I'm there in year 10 doing top set French, and everybody else is like blah, 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 you know, to really rattling it off, and I'm there, you know, from down south, and it gets put in front of me. I'm like, Je m'appelle James, ça s'écrit J-A-M-A-S, j'aime mon nom, j'ai 14 ans, mais j'ai presque 15 ans, j'habite à Southport, une petite ville qui se trouve au nord-ouest d'Angleterre. And what I've quickly learned is that if you don't do it in a Cockney accent or a Southern accent, and you actually put on the j'habite à Southport, une petite ville qui se trouve au nord-ouest d'Angleterre, and you kind of act like you're French, then that can get you a long way. I think I got a D in French. I think it was my worst subject in the end. And when I went to Iraq, I actually learned a bit of Arabic, because I thought it was very, very important to, you know, get to know the culture and the people over there. Very, very friendly people. And I used to be able to say things like "Wugufu siyara mun fadlak," which is "get out the car, please." Stuff like that. So yeah, that's those are the languages I know. Ish. But yeah, I would love to be able to. I would love to actually get time to become fluent in a language. I think the best way to do it is to actually go and live in a country, and if I ever had the luxury to do that, then I would certainly do that. Thanks very much, Chris. Nice to have you on Speak Friend Question, buddy. So next up we've got Sam Gibbs, and this is the final question of Speak Friend Question, and it looks like I'm going to get it in exactly an hour. Look at that. Wow. Who needs Jamie? Although there has been less questions this week, so make sure you all get on it next week. Sam Gibbs has put, "Hi guys, when's the next tournament, how many points, and how do I enter?" Well, let me direct you to the Great British Hobbit League Facebook group. If you go on there and you check out events, the next event is at Titans, and it's called Fog on the Finchley Downs. And it's a 350 point tournament in Finchley in North London, which is hosted by Titans Wargaming, which is Damien Grantham and Chris Young, and that looks like it'll be a great tournament. I'm really gutted I can't go, because 350 points is perfect for Knight of the Pelennor and 10 Sons of Ale, but I'm sure it'll be a phenomenal tournament, so make sure you check out that event and get yourself down to that. And that's the same with all of the rest of you guys. Get involved in the Great British Hobbit League this next year. Again, some fabulous tournaments to look forward to, including our own, but don't limit yourself. So that's the end of Speak Friend Question. Very, very sad. So I don't think I need to say Merry Christmas yet, because you should get one more before Christmas. So as always guys, make sure that you support your Hobbit hobby, that you follow us on Facebook and on Twitter, and happy strategy battle gaming guys.